Ho ho ho! Have you been good this year? Why my shoes look like... Wow, my feet look like ornaments themselves. I love it. This is the best.
I am Santa Claus. Hello.
So I've been playing Bloxburg for about 5 years. Of course, one of the main things in Bloxburg is building, and my building has definitely improved from 2017. Like, I don't know if it's like tremendously better, but I would say it's a good amount. And I still have a lot of problems with building. Like, there's just a couple things that are really challenging to me. Still trying to figure it out. I don't know if I'm ever going to, but yeah, every day I try to, you know, get better at building. It's been a week now since I've built something. I'm taking a pretty hefty building break because I don't want to burn out and get bored of this game, which I'm already bored of this game. Okay, let's be real here. I'm already bored. I'm sure most of you guys are too. I want to talk about my problems with building and maybe have a few like basic building tips that could help any of you guys with building your own houses and such. I just want to acknowledge my own problems because I have a lot of them and I still want to get better. Well, first of all, my style of building. My style of building is mostly like traditional houses and such, as you guys have noticed. I built too many of them. A lot of the gable roofs, a lot of slants. I don't really go into modern that much, but I can kind of get the idea of building a modern house. Yeah, in terms of style, I'm more a traditional builder, as you can see. This is kind of overboard. I don't know why. I feel like too much light. There's too many string lights. It's kind of ugly. The number one thing I struggle the most with building is texturing and colors. Obviously, when you're coloring things and, you know, texturing and such, you gotta like choose the right ones that can like go well together, colors that go well together. There's a lot to think about, which is why I will never ever, okay, I never even thought about this in the first place. Never gonna be an interior designer, but I know some basic stuff that you would need for like a living room, kitchen, all of that, of course. There's so much that goes into coloring and texturing and like placement of furniture and stuff. Like, there's more than you would think, really. I feel my biggest weakness is deciding textures, you know, for walls and colors, because really can't find what goes the greatest together. Like, that's why most of my walls are kind of like one color for the most part. I'll have random textures here and there as like sort of accents, which if you're new to building, you're probably like, what's an accent wall? I think pretty much an accent wall is that one wall in a room where it's like a different, either it's like a different color or like a different texture that kind of like, hold on, what is an accent wall? Let me Google this because I don't want to explain it myself. An accent wall or feature wall is an interior wall whose design differs from that of the other walls in the room. Basically, that's it. I guess you could call this the accent wall because it's a lot different than the rest of the walls. So that's my number one weakness, is deciding texture and colors. Same thing for the exterior. I struggle a lot. This is why whenever I like start building a house, I'm just like, okay, well now I have to color it, and that's gonna ruin the house, because that's sometimes what happens. Sometimes I'd rather not color the house and leave it just gray because I know I'm gonna ruin the rest of it. But yeah, in terms of, once again, colors and textures, it's so difficult for me to decide what would look decent for a house or what to like, how to make it look more interesting or different than what I normally do. So of course I stick with siding a lot, some bricks, sometimes maybe a solid color wall. But other than that, my go-to textures and stuff, as you notice, are just, yeah. I do have a hard time deciding whether or not like second level of the house should be brick and then the first level should be, I don't know, like siding or plastic solid color. So that's kind of difficult for me to decide. I'm sure most of you guys sort of have that same problem as me, but that is another thing, is like sometimes, yeah, you can make your house look a lot more detailed by putting different textures around your house instead of it being one texture only. That's definitely important, I think, to being like a really great builder. Yeah, I guess I'm more of a simple builder. I'm not a detailed one at all, and that's completely fine. If you guys think your builds are terrible because it's like simple, don't be. Everyone has a different building style, and if you like it, just do whatever you like. If you like detailed builds, definitely try doing detailed builds. If you like simple ones, then do simple ones. But if you're like the person who wants to do everything, then yeah, that's even better. The more power to you. If you want to do like every single style, like perfect every style in the world, then yeah, then you're crazy. You're crazy. I applaud you for that. Okay, so my next problem with building is landscaping. So there's a lot of reasons why I feel like I'm not great in certain areas of building. So landscaping, for the most part, to me, my definition of landscaping is putting a lot of trees around, and sometimes that's true, you know, put some trees around, hide the house and such. It's kind of difficult for me to figure out where like rocks or bushes would go, or even grass, maybe even flowers. Sometimes I rarely put flowers on my plant. I think I need to start doing that more, is because flowers definitely add more color and sort of like, and something else, like more shape depth, I don't know, detailing, something of that sort to your house. And I definitely need to start using a lot more flour. Then again, we have like really basic flowers, so I don't know. That's okay, because as you can see, there's no single flower on this plot. I don't know if you consider a bush or a tree a flower. I don't know. I have bushes with flowers on it, like, yeah, but that's pretty much it. There's no single flower, so I need to definitely improve on that. Okay, don't mind certain parts of this build. I like did some stalking, like random stalking. I don't even know if this house is a good example. What's another house I could load up? Okay, and another reason why I feel like I have weaknesses is because I kind of rush my builds. So as you guys know, whenever I record a video, it pretty much goes out the exact same day I recorded it. So I'm kind of like rushing myself, giving myself like a time limit in a way, because I want to post at a certain time, which is sometimes always at night. So my builds usually are rushed. So another weakness of mine that goes as well with landscaping, because yeah, it's a landscaping thing, is kind of like terrain. Hold on, let me change the color of the grass, because it's kind of let me change the color of my grass. It's a stretch of land, especially with regards to its physical features. So most of my houses that I built are kind of like flat. They have porches and stuff, maybe like foundation or a fake porch, but I never really do too much like of terrain. So terrain is basically like these little hills, like elevated land. But yeah, back here, this is a build that I did with my friend Morgan, and she definitely did all of the landscaping on the outside. She's really good with terrain, in my opinion. I want to definitely get better with this. I want to add more like, because terrain gives it more, if you would call it, maybe more depth, or I don't know, just more, it makes it a lot more interesting. Because if you just imagine this house without any of the terrain that my friend did, it would just be very flat. I mean, I guess we can like delete it for now. See how like plain it is? But if you add these terrain, it just makes it a lot better. So that's another thing I need to focus on and improve. But yeah, I just I don't know, maybe it's just like how to do it in this game. I think mansard roof, yeah, flared mansard roof. Oh, should use the flared one. Okay. Ooh, interesting. Okay, maybe I should just practice that on my own time. But yeah, layouts, I think I've gotten like a little bit better with layouts, but I definitely want to get better still at them, which is why I still consider it a weakness. But I definitely want to make more unique layouts, because most of my floor plans are kind of just, you know, what would you call it? Linear. They're pretty basic, but I want to do like more interesting layouts. And this house, for example, is kind of like a really basic layout in my opinion. With this house, for example, you're walking in, you got a study to your left. Didn't I base this house off of like a real life floor plan? Yeah, I think so. Okay, it's not even my layout, not gonna lie. This is not even my layout then. Whenever I'm making my own houses, I definitely want to do more unique layouts. So instead of just having each room be more like boxy, which yeah, most of my rooms are boxy. Okay, this one doesn't count because it was a real life floor plan, not even mine. I definitely want to add more like curves in certain rooms where it actually works, because you know, some rooms actually benefit from that and make it more interesting, gives it more shape. I guess we could take a look at this house, for example, like this. I'm trying to find some house layouts. I don't know, what's a good example of a unique house layout? Is that unique? That seems unique. So this is like a sunken living room, I believe, because like you have like this floor, but it goes down to this floor here. It's called a sunken living room or a recessed living room, I think. And I should definitely, my friend Morgan does this quite a bit actually. So I definitely want to do more of these. I don't know, my layouts are just kind of, they're just basic. That's really what it is. It's just basic. And okay, another good example of like my layout weakness is, I guess what I was going for this flower shop here in my city was like a simple, you know, gardening shop, flower shop. It's pretty like straightforward. You got like some displays and such, but I don't know. I feel like there could be another fun way of like showing this. Like with the right layout, it just changes the actual mood, I feel, of the actual build. So yeah, instead of just doing like these very simple, straightforward things, I want to make it a little bit more unique in a way. Maybe add some more walls somewhere else, or I don't know. It just depends on where you place your walls, really. Okay, I don't even know if this is my last weakness. I'm sure there's a lot more, but this is my fourth weakness that I want to talk about, and that is roof, especially in Bloxburg. I feel like maybe it's a Bloxburg thing. I think it's easier in other games, but with Bloxburg, roofing can be pretty difficult depending on what shape of build you have. Roofing can be super difficult, and I think I have pretty decent problem with that as well. If I'm doing like a traditional house, I kind of like know where to place the gable roofs and slants and such. But if I'm doing like modern, okay, if it's a modern build, that's one of my other problems. Is I always think modern houses are either like flat roofs, which they kind of are, flat roofs, or like some sort of slant, but it's all about like how I place it and what size, what thickness, what overhang to do. That's my number one thing. So as you can see with some of these modern like buildings in my city here, I guess it gets the job done, but at the same time, maybe it could have been a lot more prettier if I did something different with it in terms of like its size or overhang. Maybe even just, once again, to go along like with number one is like coloring and texturing. So see, look at that. It's so random. I don't know. Then again, some buildings in real life are kind of boring to look at anyways. Like some of them are just like boxy as well. So look at this building over here. Oh my gosh, this police station. Oh, don't know what I think about that. I think that's just ugly. Deciding where roofs should go and what kind of roof should could fit with a certain build is also pretty difficult for me. I think that's really all I want to talk about though, in terms of my weakness. And okay, these are really basic building tips that I can provide.
So basically with layouts, it's kind of like a puzzle. You gotta put some pieces together.
You can definitely like add more onto that with just like the most basic things. Okay, this is a long build. Maybe long builds are another weakness of mine, but you can definitely add like little things to the side of it, which I also tend to do very frequently with my builds. Maybe add even more shapes along with that. You just kind of like add shapes together if you want to make a floor plan basically. And you know, this one here could be actually a decent floor plan. Maybe if I flipped this, it would look a lot better. Ooh, maybe. But pretty much like, I mean, I guess it's still a boxy build, but at least it's not just a box alone. But sometimes you actually have to think about your floor plan, because later on you're gonna be like, how am I gonna roof this? What's the roof gonna look like? So, and also another tip, if you're building a 2-story house, what I suggest first is to place your stairs. Like, make sure you place your stairs first, then you can do everything else. You can do like the floor plan, you can do the layout, room layouts and such, because once you have that stair down, you can then build things based off of that. Don't do your rooms first and then your stairs last. I don't know, maybe some of you prefer decorating your rooms first, but definitely place your stairs first to decide where everything else is going to go. I'm sure it's an obvious thing, but that's definitely a building tip. It's definitely useful. So I don't know, it's kind of just like go with the flow. You kind of just have to eyeball some things, but as long as you're having fun though, that's another tip I can suggest. As long as you're having fun and you're like sort of learning and, you know, figuring out why certain things don't go well together, then I think you're doing a great job. Okay, I think building is like riding a bike. Building is definitely riding a bike. Oh, another basic building tip, I guess this is kind of like a pretty decent one. So you know how like with your homes and such, the path leading up to your front door can be very simple. Like anyone, it's not terrible to do like a regular path straight up leading to your house, but I think it'd be, instead of doing like regular straight paths, which I was always doing before, you can do something a little bit more spicy, add some shape to it. So there's this, you know, we have this going, not just a straight path, but it's like a path over here curving up to the house. I don't think this is a good example, but it looks a little bit more interesting. I don't know, this looks a bit messy, but you get the idea. It also opens up more opportunity for like interesting landscaping as well. So instead of like the straight path with trees and such, you could like put trees along this path. But yeah, anyway guys, that pretty much wraps up all of my basic building advice I could give to any new person starting in Bloxburg, and just wanted to point out my flaws and weaknesses and trying to figure out like ways I could fix it and such. Not all of us are like perfect builders. I'm sure there are perfect builders, but some of us may struggle with certain things. It's kind of like a puzzle. A house is like, building a house is like putting a puzzle together. You kind of just have to figure out what's gonna fit, what's gonna work and stuff. Honestly, to get better at building is just to do it every day in a way, if possible, if you have the time to like practice every day. That's all I can say is how to get better is just keep on building, because as you guys saw from my building since 2017, if you've been here for a while or just a few years, you probably noticed that for sure I've gotten better, and I feel like that's the only way to get better, is just to keep building, just build. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy this episode, you found it interesting or inspiring, make sure to give it a big old thumbs up, and make sure you hit the subscribe button too, because it is completely free. Let me know in the comments what kind of things you struggle with. I'm sure we will all relate together in the comments, and it's okay, it's all good. But thank you guys for taking the time to watch this, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day. Goodbye. I thought this was a pretty interesting video idea, because a lot of us say we are bad builders, but we don't really say like in what ways. But you guys are great. Okay, all of you are great builders. We just have to practice. That is all.